Well, Johnny, welcome back. This is another great episode of your podcast, Retire at New Heights. How are you doing, sir?
Doing good, Mike. This is an exciting one today, man. You should have that song "Money, Money, Money" playing in the background right now because that's
Oh,
what
that
I'm
would be
talking about.
so good. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Who's the producer on this show?
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, we need a
What's
new
going
one for
on, man?
sure. So, money, we're talking about money today, which is really good since we're talking about retirement, but we're talking about the different types of money. And we're not talking about dollars versus coins, right? Or Bitcoin or anything like that. We're talking about money. And Johnny's going to reveal to us that really at the end of the day, there are like three types of money. So, Johnny, why don't you unpack the three types of money for us today?
Yeah, so think basically of like having three buckets out there, and where's your money at in those buckets? The first bucket is what we're going to call like taxable money, like an income,
Hmm.
yeah, Social Security money that's coming in that's you're taxed on, right? So
Okay.
that's tax money. And then we have we consider like tax deferred money, taxable money. So that middle bucket that is like tax deferred and taxable is like your IRAs, 401ks, anything like that that the money was deferred on. I didn't pay taxes when I started to save it or whatever, but man, it's taxable uh, going forward. And so when I
Yeah.
withdraw money out of that, I got to pay taxes on that money. So most folks have the first bucket. They're getting an income. We're going to get Social Security, whatever it is. So that's uh, money you're going to pay taxes on. The tax deferred money is a bucket most folks have all the retirement accounts in, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we've got in the 403Bs, 401k, started individual retirement accounts, IRAs. And so that money is a bucket that most people have their money in. It's all taxable when you start to use that bucket. The third bucket that is getting more and more recognition and needs to get more and more recognition, and we need to focus in on that on some of our funds, is the tax-free money. So that bucket for most people, unfortunately, is empty or very thin. And
Wow.
so
Yeah.
the percentages that we see is if you got $100 in that middle bucket, right, that tax deferred taxable money bucket, the percentage comparison is most people that we sit down with have zero or like $2 in it. It's such a smaller amount in that bucket, and obviously that bucket needs to get fuller
Yeah.
while we're working, as well as when we get close to retirement. So how do we get that bucket filled up some and empty
So,
the middle bucket some? Uh,
yeah. So we've got taxable, tax deferred, and tax free, right? Is that how you said that?
yep.
Okay. And most people, based on what I just heard, most people have their money in that middle one, the tax deferred, which is what we would typically say is like a 401k, 403b, that kind of retirement plan that you're deferring taxes until a later day. And what I heard you say is that most people need to move their money into the tax-free bucket, ideally. Did I summarize
Yeah,
that well?
we need to start zeroing in on that bucket more. Most people, a lot of people don't even know that bucket exists, or
Right.
they don't know how to put anything in that bucket, and they don't know the value of that bucket. The first two are like the plastic buckets you buy. The third one is that nice solid tin can bucket, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we need to look at that tin can bucket and be like, okay, that's a solid bucket. Maybe I need to focus a little bit more on
Yeah.
put put more
Um,
money in there. So
well,
those are things like Roth IRAs. Those are things like life insurance is tax free. When we're
yeah.
talking about legacy planning or even income streams, which we're going to talk about. We talked about life insurance in the past. We're going to talk
Yeah.
about it more down the road. So those are things that are like tax free money that's out there right now that we need to begin to utilize, and we encourage most folks to by planning that third bucket there.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that you just mentioned, the two big ones that I was thinking in my mind that you said is Roth IRAs and life insurance. And if you meet with Johnny and most of your money's in the tax deferred bucket, he has strategies and methods and things to move that money into that tax free category, very systematically. So there's maybe not as much pain involved, I guess. I mean, you owe taxes on it, but there are ways to move some money so that I guess the question is why, Johnny? Why do you think it's important that people move money to that tax-free bucket versus just leaving it in the tax-deferred bucket? What's the theory behind why?
Well, that nice solid tin can bucket has a um, snowball effect. It affects your taxes on your retirement income. It can affect your taxes on your Social Security, even if you have to get involved with Medicare and Medicare guidelines for if you need big distributions, and it could raise your Medicare premiums. It that snowball starts up there, and it can either be a good snowball if you're all in the middle bucket, or I mean a bad snowball, or if you're in the tin can third bucket, it can be a good snowball that helps protect losing money from all those things. So we always, and I've used this example in the past, and it's the most simple one. If you have $100,000 in that middle bucket, you really that's what it says on the outside written on there. But then if you look at the fine print, it says 75,000 is yours or 70,000 is yours. So you read that fine print, you're like, what? Whereas the third bucket, if it says you've got $85,000 in there, it's $85,000 of value in there for you. So
Yeah,
dollar amount versus dollar value is a good way to look at your retirement accounts, because somebody's paying taxes on that middle bucket. You,
yeah,
your spouse, your kids, whatever. Somebody's going to pay taxes on that.
yeah. So
So
I got another analogy for you. You can go, so you have $100,000 in that middle bucket, right? It's like going to the grocery store and buying a big bag of chips. You see the bag of chips, you buy the bag of chips, you open the bag of chips, and you're disappointed because it only has about a half a bag of chips in it, right?
I know and it's like that's a great example because you're like, man, I ate a whole bag of chips in one sitting. Like I'm so huge right now.
Well,
Really,
and
you only ate really a half a bag, but they it's
right. And I bought the bag to share with my friends, kind of like you saved up all your money to share with your
the
family, and
family
you
size
realize,
bag, right? The family size
yeah,
bags.
and you realize I don't have as much money as I thought because I have this silent partner that we talked about in the last episode, I think, who's taking that money from me through taxes and different things, where Johnny's going to help you get a full bag of chips that when it says $85,000 on your statement, you actually have $85,000 and guaranteed income for life and protection. And I mean, there's so many ands that come here. So I don't want people to have a bag of chips retirement plan because that's going to be very disappointing for them. What you're talking about is making sure that you know um, where your money is. Is it in a bag of chips? Is it under your mattress? Or is it in the other analogy I'm thinking? So what does look like the same size of what it is? And I thought a candy bar. If you're at the checkout stand and you look at one of those Snicker bars that's right there, if you open it, it's the size that it is, right? It says what it is, and that's how big it is. That's what you're talking about. That third bucket. If it's $85,000, it's $85,000. It's not a bag of chips that is less than what you think. Are those fair analogies?
Oh, they are. Yeah, that's actually, man, we love talking about the food, man. We can keep going on that stuff. If you're getting hungry right now, is you go ahead and take a break and eat your food because we're
That's right.
throwing all this out in front of you. And so, yeah, that's a great analogy is what's the dollar amount versus what the actual value is.
Yeah.
And so we see it all the time in shopping. You're exactly right. And we use that general concept. It's like when another shopping example is, this 80-ounce thing cost me $5, or I could get two 60-ounce things for $6.50.
Right.
Out of those two, which one is actually more valuable, right?
Yeah.
Actually, the one that has a little bit less money in it. But when you look at it per ounce, it's a better deal or whatever. So I'm just saying, look at your dollar amounts, dollar value versus what's in there and what the actual money is yours. Read the fine
Yeah.
print, know the fine print on your retirement accounts. And how can we kind of make that do Roth conversions? And how does that work? How does that look for me? We got a great tax report system that we work on that will literally show you, hey, if I do this, this is what my taxes look like versus if I'm able to do this, this is what my taxes look like.
Yeah.
Man, and many times, man, it is just overwhelming the amount of money that you see saved. for
It's
anybody.
crazy. And the thing I love about that report is it's a report, it's not a projection. It's not like, well, maybe possibly this is what you're going to get. No, this is a tool Johnny and his team have accessible that you can have access to with when you meet with them to say, here's what will happen. You put this here, this is what's going to happen in the current environment that we're in. And that's why it's so important, Johnny, for people to just reach out and talk with you and work with you through their retirement to set up the plan initially, but then to work with you just month in, month out, year in, year out, to make sure they are keeping as much of their hard-earned money as possible. And part of what you help them understand are these three types of money, or these three buckets of money: the taxed, the tax deferred, and the tax free. And you work with people to try to get more money in that tax free bucket and do it in a proper way where they are going to be able to retire at new heights, because it's all part of a great retirement plan. So,
Yeah, I think one last thing on this is your whole retirement plan, and we talk about this in my book, many things. Your whole retirement planning really should start with tax planning, because
yeah,
that dictates how much money am I going to get every month that I get to keep.
yep,
How much money can I take out on big purchases or vacations or whatever that is real dollar amounts. I just had a client call real quick, Mike, that called me up, said, "Hey, we have this money in our IRA. We want to go on this giant trip, do all this kind of stuff. Is it wise to do?" I said, "Well, let's take a look at your tax brackets, take a look what it may be. Bottom line is this: maybe this $10,000 vacation actually costs you 13,000.
yeah,
Because how's that? Well, to get a net of 10,000, you might have to withdraw 12,000 or 13,000 because of the
yeah,
tax situation. So where do I get, maybe I have money over here in these other accounts that I should utilize for
right,
something like that? Or hey, at least I'm prepared. I know that I'm taking out 12,500 to get my 10, and I'd rather
yes.
know that. So things like that are very important, and we try to help people with uh, while we're working with them from day one on.
Yep, that's right. That's how you retire at new heights, is putting somebody like Johnny in your corner so you can pick up the phone and call him with these questions to make sure you don't make a mistake in retirement that might cost you more money and put you in a precarious situation. And the three types of money is part of that education you're going to get with Johnny, to look at what money do you have that's taxed, the tax deferred, the tax free. How does all that play into building your retirement puzzle? So, Johnny, another great episode. I'm looking forward to continuing down this road, talking about helping people understand taxes, and how just having money is not a real good retirement plan. You've got to have a plan in place. That's what we're going to talk about next time. So I hope you'll come back and join me.
Sounds good. We'll see you soon, Mike.